Hello there and welcome. My name is Jessie. I am the founder and one of the Cool Sculpting providers at Element Body Lab, the Dallas Cool Sculpting experts. And today we're talking about cool sculpting on the love handles, which just happens to be one of my very favorite places to treat and my personal favorite place to have had treated. So we're going to cover everything from how cool sculpting works all the way through risks and side effects, show you some cool sculpting before and after photos specifically on love handles. So if you're looking to see some results on love handles, just let's dive right in. Keep in mind, if you're checking this out on YouTube, there's like a little chapter section to where you can kind of skip around to the areas of the video that really apply to you. Otherwise, just stick with me and we'll guide you all the way through start to finish. So as people start to do research, the first question that they have is, does cool sculpting work? And sometimes this question is asked as just, does it work? And sometimes it's, does it work on this specific body area? Cool sculpting actually has 9 different FDA clearances, but whenever you're thinking about the love handles, cool sculpting is actually cleared for the flanks. It's the first FDA clearance that cool sculpting got back in 2009. So there is a ton of research showing that not only does cool sculpting work on the love handles or on the sides of the body, you can treat the lower love handle, that's called the flank. You can treat the upper love handle kind of right at the waistline. We call that the upper flank or back fat, or upper, like kind of the upper bra fat, kind of high in the bra line. So everybody has a little bit of a different goal whenever they're thinking about their love handles. Sometimes it's really the abdomen and the love handles. Sometimes it's the lower flank and the bra fat that they're thinking about. But cool sculpting does work in these areas. And I do want to talk a little bit about how cool sculpting works, so you know if it's a good fit for you, just kind of based off of general information here. So cool sculpting works on stubborn fat that lies above the muscle wall. We call that subcutaneous fat, but it's the squishy stuff that lies right on top of the muscle wall that you can squeeze. So if you think about, I'm pinching right here on my arm. This is super squishy fat right here. This would be an appropriate kind of fat to be thinking about cool sculpting for. Now, obviously you have to have a medical evaluation, but whenever you're wondering what type of fat does it work on, would it work on this area? If your love handle is nice and soft and pliable, then cool sculpting may be a good option to consider, but obviously talk to a medical professional near you. So whenever you're thinking about that stubborn pocket of fat, we want to make sure that it is localized. And whenever I say that, what I mean is it's a specific pocket that you're thinking about treating, like the love handles or the abdomen, not overall, because what we're trying to do is really sculpt off pockets of fat. This is truly a body contouring procedure. So if you think about the love handles, we're going to draw the love handles into a cooling cup, and the cooling cups vary in size and shape. I've got a couple of templates here to kind of show you different sizes, but you draw the fat into these cooling cups and you imagine almost like an elongated ice cream scoop, that the fat goes into this little cooling cup and then it gets really, really cold. So step 1, we take that stubborn fat. Step 2, the fat cells themselves are actually frozen inside of this cooling cup. We use controlled cooling that is specifically monitored and hyper controlled inside of this environment. There's compression from a suction-based handpiece along with this controlled cooling using a heat extraction process. Really what's happening inside of that cup is the fat cells are getting cold enough to change texture, but we're not getting the area so cold that anything that is a water composition actually changes texture. Now that's important to know, because that's the reason cool sculpting works on love handles, specifically the fatty area, but doesn't impact muscle, blood, skin, nerves, anything else that's water composition. But the change in texture is what we're looking for. We need to change the fat cells texture, because that's what triggers an inflammatory response in your body, where your macrophages or your white blood cells come along and digest the frozen fat cells, which is what you're seeing in step 3 here. Those macrophages come and process those fat cells, and your body just naturally eliminates them over the course of 3 weeks to 3 months. And then what you're left with is about 20 to 20% less fat in the treated area after somewhere between 3 weeks and 3 months, depending on your metabolism. So that's all of a really fancy way of saying we use suction-based handpieces to suck your fat into cooling cups, get the fat really cold, and then trick your body into pee, poop, and sweating it out over the course of 3 weeks to 3 months. And what you will see is about a 20% reduction with each session. So I'm going to show you some CoolSculpting before and after photos on love handles specifically, so you can see some love handle results. But before we actually dive into love handles, I do think it's important whenever you're looking at these before and after photos, or whenever you are researching a facility for CoolSculpting, keep in mind the photos that you see here are all of clients treated here at Element Body Lab. There are a lot of practices out there, a lot of providers who actually use stock photos or other people's work. That's not our style. So every photo you see will be of clients treated here at Element Body Lab. And I want to talk about this gal that you're seeing on the screen right here. She came in and she said, no matter how hard I work, I just have always felt like I carry all of my fat through my abdomen and my love handles. This is the area that I just feel really heavy, and I would love to not feel so fluffy. I remember her using the word fluffy. And so we actually did 2 rounds of treatment on her love handles to slim out her lower hips, really accentuate her hourglass. So I know sometimes it's a fear for women that we're going to take away too much fat, or we're going to take away that sexy curve. And depending on the provider that you choose, you won't have that happen, because it's all about the artistry. We can sculpt the shape that you're looking for. So sometimes people want to keep that exaggerated hourglass, but sometimes people want slimmer hips. Depending on how and where we place these hand pieces, both of those things can be achieved. So you got to keep in mind, lots of people offer CoolSculpting. Not all CoolSculpting is the same. It truly is the artistry of how do we sculpt the shape that you're looking for, which is why it's so important to have an educated consultation with a CoolSculpting provider, because people have all different shapes and sizes, right? This is another client, has a very different shape. She's much more boxy through the lower hips, but she wanted a softer, kind of more sexy hourglass. And so we used specific hand pieces to soften that curve. She was really athletic in a build. She had done sports her whole life, and we were able to soften that curve and enhance her hourglass by knowing how and where to place hand pieces to sculpt that result. But it doesn't just work on women. Men also have love handles. This client is very active. He's working out in the gym, lifting weights. Didn't matter how hard he worked. Every time he looked in a mirror, ever since he turned like 45, all he noticed was these love handles. And so this client is an older gentleman who wanted to have his lower love handles treated, and you see a sensational result here. And also, you can treat up the entire back. So I've shown you some lower love handle areas, kind of that muffin top, where it kind of spills over on pants, if you will. But sometimes people want to soften their entire back line. Sometimes it's about the creases that you see whenever you're wearing a crop top or you're doing a yoga class and just a sports bra. And that can also be treated. So whenever we were talking about those FDA clearances, CoolSculpting is also FDA cleared, not just for the love handles, the lower flank, but also for that upper back and bra fat area. So those places can work really well together. They're complementary, which basically just means that they serve to complement one another to get you a really natural and beautiful look. And we can get more aggressive. So this is a gentleman who's much taller. And so I've shown you some just kind of more petite clients, but I wanted to talk about this specific gentleman who had a really nice long torso. And so we had to do some overlapping hand pieces. Now he was a very aggressive responder. This is just 1 round of treatment, and he had sensational results. And another client who had much more subtle results. They're still really impactful. She was so excited whenever we showed her before and after photos, because you'll see she's so much softer and slimmer through the hips. Also just 1 round of treatment. And this is a client who actually had a tummy tuck, but they didn't do they didn't do liposuction on her love handles whenever they did her tummy tuck. So she really felt like she just didn't feel totally proportionate. So it's important to notate whenever you're doing CoolSculpting after a tummy tuck, or CoolSculpting after plastic surgery, or CoolSculpting after any surgery or scar tissue, how and where we place those hand pieces has to be specific and really customized for those surgical procedures, because we've got to avoid scar tissue whenever we're not starting with kind of a perfect canvas, we always have to keep in mind that there may be some indentations that you had before that we're not going to be able to get rid of, but that we can soften. She felt so much more confident in fitted dresses and fitted tops, especially in this hot Texas summer. So this is a really great example of what CoolSculpting can look like on the love handles, specifically after a tummy tuck. But some clients do have a really beautiful hourglass, but want a little bit slimmer of a hip. And I think that this is a really great example of that, wanting a slimmer hip. So again, just one round of treatment here, so you can see very aggressive results with CoolSculpting. So a lot of times people say, whenever they're looking at before and after photos, do I have to do a series of treatments? And we're going to talk about the average cost and the number of sessions that you should expect. But it's important to know that you should be noticing about a 20 to 25% reduction with each treatment that you do. There's not a magic wand that works 100% of the time, but in the years of experience that I have, I can count on one hand the amount of times that CoolSculpting didn't deliver exceptional results for clients that were really visible, just very obvious and visible whenever you're looking at before and after photos. So that's the reason that we want to take before and after photos. It's also the reason we want to have really ongoing conversations with all of our clients. We've built a 5-star reputation here in Dallas, Texas, because of how in tune we are with our customers. We document photos. We're really consistent with our follow-up. We'll guide you through the whole process so you know what to expect, so there are no surprises along the way. And we align our goals with you because we know your results are our reputation. Whenever you're thinking about that, it's important to know that when you're shopping around for CoolSculpting, it's obvious that one of the things that you're going to ask is how much does it cost? And you're going to want to compare prices. We do post all of our prices online, so you can actually snag the pricing sheet that you'll see on the screen here. You'll snag the actual detailed version of this one, which looks like this, but you'll snag the detailed version of this one at elementbodylab.com/cost, like COST. How much does it cost? Because if you want to know how much does the CoolSculpting treatment on the love handles cost for you, it's specific to your anatomy. I've shown you a whole bunch of different body types, heights, weights, sizes, shapes, genders, ethnicities. Everybody has a little bit of a different anatomy and a different goal in mind. CoolSculpting is priced by what's called the cycle. Every time we put a handpiece on the body, this is called either a treatment or a cycle. Those words are interchangeable. But a lot of times whenever you're there for treatment day, it's going to consist of multiple treatments because we have to treat both sides of the body. And sometimes we need more than one time that this goes on the body for each side because we're targeting kind of full coverage of the specific area. You heard me allude to not all CoolSculpting is the same, and really talking about that artistry of how and where we place handpieces. Our business is really set up to focus not on the fat we take away, but on the fat we leave behind, because that's what you live with every single day. It's what you see in the mirror. You forget all about the fat we leave or that we took away, and you're only focused on the fat we leave behind. So whenever you're thinking about the average price, because that's really what people want to know is, okay, but is there a ballpark? Like, what's the average cost of CoolSculpting love handles? And the average cost is somewhere between $2,700 and $4,500. It can be as low as $1,500 per session, but, you know, I want to set the right expectation, and most people are looking at that kind of $2,700 to $4,500. And let's actually talk about why. We talked a little bit about the cycles and how many cycles you were seeing on specific areas, or how many cycles on average, right? Which just translated to that cost. But this photo you already saw. So this was a client who came in. She had 2 rounds of treatment. She had 1 cycle to each lower love handle on each of those treatment days. So she had a total of 4 cycles with us. Now, with that handy dandy pricing sheet in hand, what she would have been looking at is about $2,700 for this transformation. That does not include the recovery cream that we really recommend, which we talk all about in many videos. But if you are looking at a price quote from us on our pricing sheet, you'd be looking at a 4-cycle package. But you also saw this photo, very different approach. Now this client came in for a total of 3 individual treatment days, but she had a total of 8 cycles done amidst those 3 treatments. She treated her bra fat 2 times, 1 cycle each time. So that's a total of 4 cycles. And then she treated her lower love handles with a little bit more of an aggressive overlap right within the waistline to cinch in that hourglass. And that was treated 1 time, but it was a total of 4 cycles on that 1 treatment day. So this treatment would look more like a $4,500 package with us. So that's why we talk so much about the importance of a consultation. You are paying for CoolSculpting by the cycle, and if you wanted a ballpark, that's as close as I can get you. It's somewhere between $2,700 and $4,500. But consultations are free. They're designed to be able to answer the question of how much is CoolSculpting going to cost for me? So whenever you're thinking about how many treatments will I need, how many treatments are needed is depending on your goals and anatomy, which translates to cost, which is why it's so difficult to answer that question whenever you just call, because we don't know what you look like. So schedule a consultation with myself or my team. We're happy to help. We do virtual consultations on all online booking. We will talk more about that at the end of the video. But before we just kind of wrap up, I do want to talk about risks and side effects, because CoolSculpting is a medical procedure, and it's important to keep that in mind. This is not a substitute for medical advice. I encourage you to talk to a medical professional prior to making any decision. You should be chatting with someone to chat about medical history and who's a good candidate and what are you taking, like medication wise, surgical, what's happened in your past, to make sure that it's a safe option for you. But assuming you are a candidate for CoolSculpting, and assuming it is the right choice for you, you also want to know that there are risks and side effects in every decision that you make. The normal stuff to expect is redness, swelling, bruising, and numbness. And you'll see a photo of some bruising on an upper arm down below me on this slide here. This is very typical in a lower flank or in the love handle areas to see bruising. The 2 places that bruise most commonly are arms and love handles. It's just kind of the way of the world. So that's important to notate. There are more rare side effects that you can actually check out on CoolSculpting.com. There's a whole list of them, and it depends upon your medical history as to the incidence rate and the likelihood of you getting them. But on the description where you're watching this video, we'll make sure that that safety data sheet and the consent form are linked. That way you can do your full research. This is, again, like I said, a medical procedure, so you want to be well informed. There are other things that can happen, like discrete nodules, which are just little hardened fat cells that happen under the skin. There's a rare side effect called paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, which you'll want to do some research about. Make sure that you feel comfortable assuming that risk. The rare side effect that actually happens most commonly, so the most common of the rare, is called late onset pain. And I know a lot of times people are doing some research around CoolSculpting love handles pain. It's a thing that we see a lot in Google search terms. And if you are having some pain after doing a CoolSculpting treatment on your love handles, if it's right after your session, discomfort is to be expected. You had a medical procedure done. You froze your fat. Should get better every day. The things that we find work really well for our patients is to be plenty hydrated, so drink plenty of water, do some light stretching, so a good yoga class at home. You can find some great yoga classes on YouTube. Compression is key, so a pair of high-waisted yoga pants or one of those ACE bandage wraps will feel fantastic. Now, if it's not right after your CoolSculpting treatment, if it's been maybe 3 or 5 days, we'll even go all the way up to 10 days, and you're having sharp shooting pains in the area, like zingers, feels like zaps or like glass under the skin, that can be something called late onset pain, and you will want to chat with your CoolSculpting provider and let them know about this. In our practice, we find that about 15% of patients who are treated get late onset pain. We see it very commonly in the love handles and in the outer thighs, but we see it all over the body. So if you're having pain after a CoolSculpting treatment and you were treated at our facility, talk to us, let us know that. But if you were treated somewhere else, just chat with your CoolSculpting provider. There are different things that you can do to help with that pain. Anything from stretching, compression, water. You can also apply a topical cream. There is a medication that can be called in for it if it's really, really bothering you. But if you are someone who has late onset pain, it goes away. It just takes anywhere between 3 and 11 days to do so. There's a fantastic white paper that talks all about late onset pain. White paper is just a scientific journal. So there's a great article if you are a CoolSculpting provider doing some research or trying to provide a better experience for your customers. Make sure you have that on hand. Late onset pain is just one of the risks. It can happen. I get it occasionally whenever I'm treated, and it always is just awful while it lasts. But the good news that we see is a lot of times people who get late onset pain also have more aggressive results. So I hope that's a little reassuring to you if you are experiencing any discomfort after your CoolSculpting treatment. Rest assured, totally normal. I would always err on the side of communicate though, because if you are having something go on that's more aggressive or is actually not late onset pain, you want that documented in your medical chart, and you want whoever the overseeing medical professional is to know about it. So if you are a patient at our practice, we would communicate that up to our medical director so he could appropriately make sure that you're okay and that you're still safe. We've never had it be anything besides late onset pain, but we always are just mindful that anything can happen, and we want to make sure that your safety is kind of front of mind. I hope that was helpful. Again, check out the full safety data sheet at CoolSculpting.com for all of the risks and side effects. I didn't cover them all here. I do want to talk now about then what, right? After the discomfort wears off, when will I see results? And you'll notice CoolSculpting results somewhere between 3 weeks and 3 months after a session. Full healing time and full recovery looks like 3 months after any one treatment. So if you're trying to take the most conservative approach, you'll want to space your treatments apart 3 to 4 months. That being said, you can treat the same area a second time. So if you're doing repeat sculpting or a second session to a specific area, like you saw in some of those photos, those can be scheduled safely 6 to 8 weeks after a first session. Usually clients are noticing a pretty great result by that 6 to 8 weeks. So it gives us a good tell on like, hey, we're placing these in the right places, we're moving the right direction. That being said, everybody's a little bit different with their risk threshold. Sometimes people want to wait to the full timeline. There's no harm, no foul in that. You don't see any more aggressive results by treating more aggressively or more quickly, I should say. So whatever feels right to you is what you want to do. And then just a little bit of information here around disclosures. CoolSculpting is an FDA cleared treatment. It is a medical treatment. However, you'll want to make sure that you don't have any of the hard stops associated with CoolSculpting before you pursue this as a treatment option for you. Those are distinct allergies to cold or pregnancy, and you should see all of those listed here on this slide. Again, the full safety data sheet is at CoolSculpting.com. And if you are a patient here, you can book a consultation with myself or anyone on our team here at Element Body Lab, the Dallas CoolSculpting experts. We are a CoolSculpting dedicated business in Dallas, Texas, and we would be honored to participate in your CoolSculpting journey if you're looking for a provider in DFW. If you are not looking for a provider in DFW and you're trying to find a practice near you to do your CoolSculpting treatment, there's a Find a Provider tool on CoolSculpting's website. We'll make sure it's linked below just to make it really easy for you to find a practice near you for your CoolSculpting treatment. And then keep in mind all of that medical information that I went through. We'll talk about all of that at your consultation. It's all part of your consultation journey here. All of that is free. We're here to give you our advice, point you in the right direction, tell you whether CoolSculpting is a good fit, or maybe there's a different alternative that you'd be better served by. I hope this was helpful as you are doing some research. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out anytime. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. We go live every Tuesday and talk a little bit about CoolSculpting. You'll find us there. It's probably the easiest way to chat, or just book your consultation, get to know us in real life or on the internet. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks for tuning in.